get started with our presentation. My name is Kieran O'Brien. I am with the Michigan Recycling Coalition, and we thank you all for being here today. Just a little bit about the event today, logistics here. This is a webinar. All attendees are muted and will continue to be muted. Only speakers will unmute themselves. So thank you for that. Please use the Q&A panel to submit your questions. We may not have a lot of time to answer those questions, but those questions will inform follow-up. So please don't hesitate to put your questions or comments in that Q&A panel. And just as a notice to all of you, this webinar is being recorded. Again, thank you all for being here today, taking the time to be with us today. You may have noticed that recycling is getting some great attention in Michigan. This has been a long time coming for us here in Michigan. Many of you, as indicated by this slide, are way ahead of us. And in fact, we have certainly used your progress to push our leaders to do more here in Michigan, and we hope to return that favor. We're here today because we all know that big things don't happen without intention, coordination, and collaboration amongst many partners. And in fact, we want to share what's happening in Michigan. We also want to learn more from you, but we really want to foster renewed collaboration in the region, knowing that that is how things get done, and we need to get big things done. I credit the success that we've had in Michigan to a whole lot of people that have really been doing the work for the past 13 years to make all of this happen. But specifically, I think it's worth noting that Matt Flecker, who works for the state agency, worked on the inside. I, on behalf of the Michigan Recycling Coalition, worked on the outside to mobilize financial resources and political resources to move policy through the legislature, and we continue to do that. And Jim Fry from RRS and the RRS team has helped provide the technical expertise to keep us focused on those best practices as we've developed, the opportunities that we are benefiting from today. So we hope that this event kind of, is a spark for all of us as we continue the important work of especially end market development for not just Michigan, but for the entire region. It's going to be continued important work for us moving forward. I want to thank especially EPA headquarters and Region 5 for engaging with us on this important conversation as we begin to try to align the work of the region to a desired end. Our first speaker today is Matt Flecker. He is the Market Development Specialist at Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, and he will share how the state is using recently won money to develop two key frameworks on which infrastructure and markets are developing in Michigan. Welcome, Matt.
Thanks, Karen. So 20 years ago, I was sitting in my first Mid-America Council of Recycling Officials meeting in that Lake Michigan room down at EPA Region 5. And I introduced myself, and the first thing that happened was everybody applauded. I looked around like, why is everybody applauding? People were so happy that Michigan was back at the table after a long hiatus. And I felt so welcomed by so many of the leaders of that time, and some of us are still around. Hi, Wayne, doing the work. And it's at that time that I recognized that collaboration across our region is really important to success. And it's my hope today that we can bring together this group, all of you on this call, to figure out what that next step is, seeing that we have the Mid-America Council of Recycling Officials, but we're recycling officials. How do we bring in more voices to the table, communities and businesses, industry, and state recycling organizations? We've seen in Michigan that type of partnership really does lead to results. We know that collaboration and building trust has allowed us to look at the issues, figure out how to grow markets and what those key components are. And many people realized early on that funding and policy were needed. So we got to work. We got to work making that case for recycling, building those allies, talking to key decision makers, and we used local storytelling about the value of recycling to the economy and jobs and air and land and water. We know that that's one of the most exciting things about the work that we do. On this call, if you're on this call, you know the connections that are made between materials management and the circular economy and all those other issues, whether it be equity or economic issues, those social issues, just really being able to tell those stories and connect in with what people value. And we were successful. We were successful in securing $15 million of annual funding, and that's to grow markets and improve recycling access to grow Michigan's circular economy. And we're putting that money into action through grants and technical assistance and data gathering. But we're not stopping there. We know that policy is that other key point, and we're working on updating our solid waste regulations. And in fact, they just dropped this week, and they'll be moving through pretty quickly here. And the group of stakeholders and all of the Great Eagle staff working on making sure that we get the policy right. We're rolling up our sleeves and we're getting that job done too. But we're not waiting for the policy to happen. We are moving quickly to make those connections, and we're doing that through NextCycle. And NextCycle, you'll hear from Elisa later, is working to leverage the funding and incubate those good ideas so that we can build those partnerships and identify that we all have a shared responsibility in making sure that the system works. And I want to thank EPA for all the work that you've done to keep us all connected and sharing across our region. And I look forward to the next steps as we can continue to build this out and be a strong region for market development. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you, Matt. And I blew right by that agenda slide. So before we get to Marissa, I do want to just share with you really briefly that today we'll be talking about the National Recycling Coalition Market Development Forums that this is a kind of a part of, as well as we'll do some polling, and then we'll hear from EPA in a number of different places, as well as NextCycle Michigan, before we then hear back from Region 5 about their remarks on this event here. So Marissa Segundo is Senior Communications Strategist for Resource Recycling Systems and involved in a variety of things that RRS is doing for Michigan right now. So Marissa, we'd love to hear from you.
Great, thanks so much. So as Karen mentioned, this is a continuation of a markets development project that we collaborated with the National Recycling Coalition and all of these fantastic partners that you see here. We had anticipated, we'll go to the next slide to show all the different areas of the US that the National Recycling Coalition between 2018 and 2020 was able to reach. Our last stop was actually, well, kind of our last stops was supposed to be in Michigan. To focus on this. So we're hoping that this is a collaboration really talking about regional solutions for market development. So during these market development workshops, we were able to bring stakeholders throughout the value chain together, the recycling value chain, and really talk about the nuts and bolts of recycling development. What does it take to happen? What do things look like from your purview? And what does it look like from your partnering state or city or region? And how can we all work together to make this happen? We made it interactive. We had live polling, which you'll see in just a moment, that we'll incorporate in this one. And then I'd also like to give kudos to Eagle. Last year did the same markets development and also partnering with the Michigan Recycling Coalition to do these similar market development regional engagement opportunities. So this is something that you can plug into where you are, and also a good opportunity to do this today virtually. So we'll jump into our first poll. So when we're talking about recycling market development, what does it look like in your region? So you'll see in the chat is popped up a link to pollev.com. Just open up another browser, and you can leave that open throughout because we'll come back to the poll at the end of this. So when we're talking about market development in your region, what does it look like? If you choose A, we have great new markets, or good, maybe you don't even know, or not very good, or bad. We need new markets. So we'll let these, we've got about 130 people on the call right now. So we'll give a couple of seconds for these responses to come in. Looks like good is about 55%. So maybe we have a little bit of work to do in some places. Bad is only at 4%. So that's pretty exciting. Always room to grow. And you see these bars going up and down. It's like a horse race. But right now we're at 53%. I'm going to cut it off because they're only giving me a very short window here. Ton of great information to hear about today. So I'm going to cut it off. 3, 2, 1, and we're clear.
Thank you, Marissa. Appreciate that information. That's good stuff from the work of NRC that we're continuing within the region, or we hope to continue in the region. I'd like to now bring Susan Viscovi to the floor. She is going to moderate this kind of EPA portion of the presentation. She's an environmental engineer in the Land and Chemicals branch of the Land and Chemicals and Redevelopment Division of US EPA Region 5. That's a mouthful, Susan.
Thanks, Karen. Like Karen mentioned, I'm in the EPA Region 5 office, and we're located in Chicago. I'm one of the market development contacts in our regional office. And I'm gonna, can we go to the next slide so I can show you? There we go, there's our regions. And Region 5, you see, includes Michigan and some of the other Midwestern states. Just for reference, I know we're going to have a speaker from Region 4. You can see that's the southeast of the country. But I just want to say we're really excited to help MRC and their partners kick off this meeting today, and to learn more about what's planned for Michigan and in the future of Michigan and how it can really apply to our entire region. Just the landscape of recycling has changed so significantly over the past few years, from the implementation of China's national sword policy to then the new Basel requirements for the export of plastic scrap, and then finally to all the challenges that have been presented by COVID-19. We're finding that engaging in these types of conversations on a local and regional level really present the opportunities we all need, I think, to overcome these sorts of complicated challenges. So efforts like this meeting today, and then additional kind of market development opportunities like the program, the NextCycle program, and then continuous efforts by our advocates like MRC and agencies like MEAGLE, those just help to bolster our local and regional markets for different types of recycled materials, and really help create an overall streamlined recycling system that's better able to weather these changes that we're seeing that are coming at a global scale. And so in addition to what Michigan and other partners are going to be talking about today, US EPA, our national office, is going to review some of the national policies, including the national recycling policy efforts. And hopefully that will be a significant step in the path forward for our local and regional goals. Following our national perspective, we'll also have a presentation by the Region 4 office. Like I said, that's the southeast corner of that map. And they'll talk about how they used a collaborative effort in their region to design tools and resources to address their stakeholders' needs for integrated solid waste management. So that's a little bit about our regional perspective. At this point, I'm going to hand it over to our acting division director in headquarters, Nina Shaw, who's the EPA headquarters acting director of division director, of resource conservation and sustainability. That's another mouthful, like Karen was saying. Nina's going to talk about some of the key points from our most recent efforts to establish a national recycling strategy, the national recycling goal, and some popular sustainable materials management tools. And then she'll also highlight findings from our recently updated recycling economic information report. So I will hand the virtual microphone over to Nina right now.
Great. Thank you so much, Susan. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited to be here today with all of you. I have a huge fondness for the state of Michigan. My parents grew up in Detroit, and I went to the University of Michigan, go Blue, in Ann Arbor, and I've spent some time in Pellston, Michigan, which is just sort of the upper part before you get to the UP at U of M's biological station. And I've also spent quite a bit of time in and around Detroit with a lot of the auto manufacturers for the last couple of years, who quite frankly are doing some incredible work in trying to reuse some of the materials that don't get utilized in their car making process. And it's incredibly inspiring. I don't know, many of you may have known the work of John Bradburn, who was at GM for years, recently retired. But in any case, I'm excited to be back and to hear more of really all of the work that you all are doing. So thank you to Susan for her introduction. And I am going to talk today about our national strategy and national goal, the WARM model, which measures GHG emissions, the sustainable materials management tools that we have, which are really life cycle tools, and just give you an overall state of where we are at EPA, welcoming this new administration. Great. So many of you know that we launched an effort really over the last couple of years, but it culminated in a draft national recycling strategy that came out in October of last year. And it was really the effort, a multi-stakeholder effort. Hopefully many of you all were involved and or commented, but it identifies strategic objectives and actions needed to create a stronger, more resilient and cost-effective U.S. municipal solid waste recycling system. The objectives included in the draft were reducing contamination with the recycling stream, improving infrastructure, and market development, which is the focus of obviously our conversation today. The public comment period closed on December 4th last year, and we're currently working on revising the strategy to incorporate public comments and the priorities of the incoming administration. So we're super excited to have a new administration. It is always exciting to meet the new people as they're coming in, to try and understand what their priorities are. And it's very clear in this administration that the priorities are climate, environmental justice, jobs, and of course, the pandemic. And it's great for us. It was really perfect timing. I don't know who planned it, but we will be coming out with our strategy next month. And I will say that we have worked really hard to reflect the goals of the new administration, which I think is going to be just incredibly impactful, not only for EPA, but basically, as Karen was talking about collaboration at the beginning and partnership, I think this strategy is really going to galvanize support, not only within EPA, because so many parts of the agency are going to be part of our effort, as well as the federal government. But really, it's you all where the rubber meets the road. So we are really excited to learn and understand the stories and the work that is happening that you all are making happen in Michigan, as well as the regions and beyond. So we have also announced last year a national recycling goal to reach a national recycling rate of 50% by 2030, which we affectionately call 50 by 30. And one of the biggest parts of that is really strengthening the markets for recycled materials. It's a key performance indicator for measuring the goal's progress, and the metric aims to help manufacturers create more products from recycled materials and stimulate consumer demand for products with recycled materials. So we just recently closed the public comment this week, I think it was Monday, on commenting on what should be included in our goal and our metrics. And we're really looking forward to diving into those comments and making sure that we reflect not only where we want to go, but where everybody else thinks we need to go. But I will end this slide by saying the efforts that the regions, states, and municipalities are doing are what is going to drive success. So that's why we think it's really important. The WARM model, so now just to turn to tools, the WARM model is a tool that we've had for over 10 years. It calculates and totals the GHG emissions, energy savings, and economic impacts of baseline and alternative waste management practices, including source reduction, recycling, combustion, composting, anaerobic digestion, and landfilling. So you can go to our website and access this tool, and most people use it to measure the metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent, but there are other units to look at as well, like energy, labor hours, wages, or taxes. But we have some other tools as well, including the Sustainable Materials Management Prioritization tools. And these are really life cycle assessment tools. We have a national one, a state one, and an organization one. And they basically help you establish big picture priorities for environmental improvement and focus resources and action for greater holistic benefit. So we've included the link at the bottom where you can access those materials. And the last slide, yeah. So the Recycling Economic Information Report. So we also do, and this is a huge part of our work and our effort in trying to understand recycling and this sector, quite frankly. This report aims to increase the understanding of the economic implications of materials reuse and recycling, and really focus on jobs, because that is absolutely crucial as we think about how we want to remake this marketplace. So the last report came out in 2020. I will say that it focuses on 2012 data. So we're kind of frustrated that there's a lag. That is always the case with government data, but we're looking forward to the next update. However, based on the 2012 data, there's 681,000 jobs in this sector with $38 billion in wages and $5.5 billion in tax revenues. And that's tremendous. And I only expect that number to go up as we keep moving forward. And I think that's the end of my slides. If there's any questions, please feel free to reach out to that email, or more information to go to our Sustainable Materials Management page. And with that, I'll hand it back to Susan.
Thanks. So next I'm going to introduce Dee Rogers-Smith from our EPA Region 4 office in Atlanta. Dee was integral in developing tools and resources on the topic of integrated solid waste management in her region. Integrated solid waste management systems are consider how to prevent, recycle, and manage solid waste in ways that are more effectively protect human health. Oh, sorry, human health and the environment. Dee worked closely with regional stakeholders to develop the tools and resources to help these communities reach their recycling goals. And now I'll hand the stage over to Dee.
Good afternoon. My name is Dee Rogers-Smith. I am the Acting Branch Chief for Redevelopment and Chemicals, U.S. EPA Region 4 Atlanta. It is my pleasure to share with you Region 4 tools on making the case for recycling. Since 2016, in collaboration with EPA states, CERTIC industry partners, state recycling organizations, with RRS, EPA developed the integrated solid waste management tools in Region 4. Many states were having issues regarding the infrastructure in place to make the case for recycling. So today, I want to share how our model encouraged regional collaboration across entities and state lines. Also, we wanted to create data-driven insights, bringing decision makers and elected officials on board to make informed decisions about their recycling systems and how to fund and capture all the benefits and resources for recycling. EPA Region 4 realizes, as many of you have, the recent changes in recycling markets. These uncertainties have left many state local representatives feeling unsure of how to best engage their decision makers about recycling changes and how these changes directly impact your programs. And more recently, the COVID-19 pandemic. That is why EPA, with the help of RRS, created the tools that you will hear about on today's webinar. We strive to give you every opportunity to empower you to make your recycling programs the best that they can be to continue making the case for recycling. These decision tools will help staff and stakeholders make informed decisions about future of their programs to help reach EPA's new recycling goals that Nina mentioned previously. Stakeholders included elected officials, finance departments, as well as city managers. EPA understood that the drivers were influencing elected officials when it comes to recycling programs. As you can see, some of the drivers are economic and some are environmental. Elected officials have to answer to their constituents, and the majority of the public support recycling programs. With this suite of tools, elected officials are armed with operational data, budget parameters, and informed decision-making about recycling programs that are appropriate for their communities. The model has multiple outputs. Most importantly, it describes the best collection method for community curbside recycling collection, either dual stream or single stream, or a drop-off collection site. Based on recycling volumes, the model may suggest switching from bins to carts. The model also recommends whether a city or county has the recycling volumes to warrant a full-fledged MRF, or if the volumes are better served by a transfer station that feeds into a MRF that is what we call the hub and spoke model. In addition to 7 collection systems listed above, the model also calculates landfill savings associated with the quantities of recyclables that have been diverted from the landfill and recommends the appropriate collection frequency. Region 4 worked with certain states to develop the model that is backed by data that is pertinent to the Southeast. Here's an example of a potential community inputting data into the tool. Because the model has been pre-populated with data such as recycling values, container volumes, landfill costs, the input page has been simplified into 11 basic questions. If you don't know the number of quantitative data, it will default to the regional average. As you can see, the data is thorough and precise. The 7 collection systems and associated container types are described in the top line of the spreadsheet, and the associated recycling volumes and the collection costs for each program are automatically calculated in the columns beneath. And line 18 through 14, you can see the model also calculates trucking needs, staff allocation, capital costs associated with each program, making the model a true decision-making tool. These are the data sets on the back end of the tool. These are currently specific to Region 4. The model automatically calculates your municipality's economic capacity to operate a MRF, the hub, or to operate as a spoke that feeds the hub. The spoke can take the form of a direct drop-off to an existing MRF or as a recycling transfer station that transfers recyclables to a MRF hub. These are the data sets that are on the back end of the hub and spoke tool. These are currently specific to Region 4 as well. It is key data that the data works regionally when making the case for recycling. Here are the results of the hub and spoke model. One simply selects the previously determined collection program, and the model determines the recycling tonnage diverted from the landfill. It also determines the annual cost per resident and identifies if it is best to direct haul recyclables, utilize transfer station, or build a standalone MRF. And it also recognizes the tonnage threshold necessary to shift state from a transfer station scenario to a MRF-based or financial data and recycling tonnage. Again, here are a few takeaways. We need to continue to bring multiple stakeholders together in a region to support recycling, like we did in Region 4. And this is a challenge I have to all of you. Also, recycling data and infrastructure needs can be determined to best suit a region. The model exists, and we would like to see it replicated in other regions as we make the case for recycling, and also makes the case to help the 20, 30, 50% goals where we have markets for materials. And finally, this model is on the CERTIC webpage. And again, I would like to thank all the partners that made this happen. And if you have questions, please send me an email, and here's my contact information, and thank all of you.
Well, thank you very much, Dee. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, Susan. It is clear to me that EPA has been a leader, and we're excited for continued leadership. There are obviously tools that I think we can all benefit from seeing, especially Dee's presentation. Now we'll hear from Elisa Seltzer. You may know her from her work at Emmett County, Michigan. She is now senior consultant at RRS and going to be talking about NextCycle Michigan. Elisa.
Thanks, Karen. So good to be here. I am here to talk to you today about NextCycle Michigan. And so next slide, or first slide. NextCycle Michigan is a new initiative. It leverages public and private investments in Michigan's waste and recovery system and turns them into jobs, benefiting the economy, protecting the environment, improving quality of life for all who call Michigan home. And this investment in recycling starts with data. So a gap analysis has been performed in the past year and has been done in the past. And what we've learned from it is that we've got a wealth of data, and Michigan currently has 6.8 million tons a year of recyclables and compostables that are currently being wasted, going to landfill. Michigan has a recycling goal of 45%. In order to reach it, 2.7 million more tons need to be recovered than currently are. The good news is, next slide, is that there are huge benefits to doing so, both economic and environmental. We've mapped out the system requirements to reach 45%. And those 2.7 million additional tons of recovery would bring us a total of 138,000 jobs in Michigan, which is over a 50% increase. It would also increase total annual labor income in the recycling field by over 50% to $9 billion, and bring us to a total economic output of over $33 billion in the recycling, reuse, and recovery industry. That is equaling Michigan's transportation and tourism industry. So that is no small potatoes. There are also significant environmental benefits. In addition to those that we're all familiar with, conserving energy and resources, a 45% recycling rate in Michigan would reduce greenhouse gases by an additional 7 million tons per year, which is equivalent to negating the air pollution from 1.5 million cars on the road for a year, or from the annual energy consumption of over 760,000 households. So again, these are measurable and significant metrics. How are we going to get there? Turning waste into resources and jobs requires improvement across the supply chain, and we are going to have to improve in all areas, starting with collection, access, whether it's at the curb, from home or business, a rural drop site. Materials have to get somewhere to be processed. We need huge investments in processing infrastructure at material recovery facilities called MRFs. And those materials need to be prepared so they are valuable commodities for end markets. We need significant growth in end markets too, as well as consistent education and engagement. strong supporting policies that incentivize recovery, and public-private funding that is leveraged to maximize impact. So how are we going to get there? We're going to innovate, we're going to partner, and we're going to collaborate. NextCycle Michigan is collaborative by its nature. This is an Eagle initiative. You've already heard from Matt Flechter and seen his vision. The Michigan Recycling Coalition is bringing their expertise and extensive network of communities, manufacturers, and other public and private sector partners in the recycling and composting space. Centropolis Accelerator brings their expertise in facilitating innovation challenges, recruiting teams, and attracting investment. And Resource Recycling Systems is developing and managing NextCycle Michigan, including the innovation challenges and the Renew Partnership Portal on behalf of Eagle. So let's start with what we learned from that gap analysis. And I think some of this is going to resonate beyond Michigan's borders. We know building end markets is key to reaching a 45% recovery. That once those materials are collected and processed, we need those end markets, right, to make those new products and packaging. It's a critical link in the circular economy. So these are the ones that rose to the top last year. Textiles are one of the fastest growing sector of the waste stream. There are lots of really cool, innovative things happening right now, really cool projects. We want to see them here in Michigan and grow those end markets here. Flexible films and mixed plastics have really taken a hit in terms of end market availability since things shifted in China over the last several years. Yes, there are opportunities with composite lumber. We need more and more innovative solutions for end markets for those materials right here in Michigan. Nearly 38% of organics and compostables are ending up in Michigan landfills. So first of all, there should be no organics going into landfills, but those organics and compostables and compostable packaging could be used to make new soil, grow crops, or make renewable energy. And Michigan has no end markets for glass, requiring steep transportation costs to move truckloads out of the state. So again, we are looking for improvements in these areas. So success will have many faces. I want to give you a sense of how broad and open and flexible these NextCycle solutions can look like. A team can bring an idea to develop a repair center in an underserved community. It could be a consortium of furniture manufacturers looking to develop packaging reuse solutions. How about a composter help figure out how to drive end market demand, maybe by developing artisanal soil amendment blends to meet the needs of agriculture and landscaping. It could be 10 communities working together on a new MRF or helping brewers figure out how they can recycle Mylar bags used to store hops. So lots of different types of projects can qualify to be part of NextCycle Michigan. So NextCycle Michigan, in a nutshell, has a couple main components. There are these innovation challenges where accepted teams are provided technical support and subject matter mentoring to move their projects towards implementation. There are also microgrants. These are under $10,000 to meet people and projects where they are to nurture that good idea, solve a tangible challenge, or prepare for one of the other innovation challenge tracks. It could be a hyperlocal project that might have opportunities to scale or replicate elsewhere. And then we have the Renew Partnership Portal, which is where the state's anchor funds is helping drive investment from a diverse portfolio of private and nonprofit partnerships so that there are more funds available to drive the challenge tracks and direct to projects. So NextCycle Michigan is also prioritizing diversity, equity, and inclusion. We see success as real impact in communities with positive environmental and equity outcomes, filling the gaps, attracting investment and talent, increasing infrastructure and markets, but we want to make sure that these opportunities are equitable and fair across Michigan, both urban and rural, throughout the state to make sure we're reaching those underserved and impacted communities. So next, I would like to give you a quick teaser video on what we're looking for to participate.
Recycling and recovery jobs could add $9 billion more of labor income into the state of Michigan. NextCycle Michigan is creating pathways to help make that happen. We've created an exciting opportunity for entrepreneurs, businesses, and organizations to get their recycling and recovery projects powered into action. Apply with the team to NextCycle Michigan, participate in an upcoming challenge, and position yourself for funding to make your idea a reality. Find out how you can participate at nextcyclemichigan.com.
All right, so that's what we're looking for. You heard there are 6 innovation challenge tracks. We are starting with the micros, those small grants, and then moving on to flows, the organics challenge track by the end of next month, and the others will roll out from there. These were each chosen to match what we learned in Michigan's market development studies and gap analysis to really align with what's needed in growing Michigan's supply chain and circular economy. So what does a challenge track look like, and where are we in this cycle? So challenge tracks, where we are right now is early engagement for both recruitment and funding. We are opening up applications for micros at the end of this month and flows at the end of next month. If you're chosen as a team for a challenge track, you are brought into this family of opportunities to get technical support, develop your idea, hone your business plan. There's a boot camp that brings all the teams together in that challenge to learn from each other and get that cross-sector collaboration. Each of them ends in a pitch session where investors will be coming to the table, and there will be challenge winners that will be open to both state grants as well as other awards and prizes. So lots coming. And you know, incubation services or accelerators are typically thought of as being, you know, focused on high tech. So this is really new, bringing this to Michigan and to the recycling and composting organic space. But what incubation services can do is help a team hone its business strategy, help them work on their product development, identify and connect with their customers, forge those strategic partnerships, and bring those investors to the table. So lots of cool opportunities to collaborate and grow. What I'd like to show you here is the NextCycle Michigan website and the resources page in particular. There's a whole bunch of data here. Again, all the data that's been collected and analyzed, it's available to you. So you can search by specifications, by industry organizations, by NextCycle partners. You can sort by track, you can filter and look at the flows track in particular, or look at the industry organizations and see all the resources right here in one place. If you search by a particular track, you will see all of the resources available to that particular track. Another page are the stories. These are success stories. These are examples of what's possible with a small amount of seed funding, collaborative partnerships, and where they can take you. So they're case studies, stories, examples, and these will keep growing. We are continually adding to these. And you can hear cool things like what Kalamazoo Craft Brewers Recycling Cooperative did, just a small infusion of funding. And then there are the data visualizations. These also are continuing to grow. There's a wealth of data here. What you'll be able to see is gaps and opportunities across the state. You can filter and search by region, by county, by facility, or by community and find out what are the opportunities if we're going to get from where we are now to 45% recycling. What are the greenhouse gas emissions avoided by doing that? What is the economic opportunity and the jobs created? So lots of really neat resources at your fingertips here for your exploration. I'd also like to point out that this is also crowdsourced. So if you know of data that's missing, contact us through this page and we'll get those added. We are updating it on a monthly basis. And so please check it out at nextcyclemichigan.com. So the Renew Partnership Portal is a pathway for private organizations, trade associations, public agencies, and nonprofits to amplify investment in NextCycle Michigan, leverage towards common goals, and connect resources to innovation challenge teams or connect directly to shovel-ready projects. And who are these partners, you might ask? So what I want to show here, this list is actually in the process of doubling right now, but this was the first sort of batch of new partners that we've announced. But what I'd like you to see is the diversity of partners in NextCycle Michigan. Trade groups, brands, chains, nonprofits, public and private sector groups. But notice, these are not just Michigan specific. They're national associations, international companies as well. Commodities cross borders. So collaboration across borders brings many co-benefits. And that's one of the reasons we're here today. There are so many opportunities, you know, of manufacturers and entrepreneurs outside of Michigan that maybe could benefit by entering a challenge track and hosting a project, a new manufacturing basis in Michigan. So lots of opportunities. So I would like to close in just saying that NextCycle Michigan is open to all. Develop an idea, become a funding partner or a sponsor. And now that you've all been here at this session, all of you can be ambassadors. So please check out the website and really look forward to collaborating and partnering in the future. And I will now hand it back. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Elisa. Great presentation. We're all very excited about NextCycle in Michigan. I'll pause just for a moment to tell you why. We just had a package of bills introduced in the House of Representatives that is poised to update Michigan solid waste laws, frankly, rewrite our solid waste laws. That provides a framework on which policy, local policy will be developed to meet goals. NextCycle provides another kind of funding and investment framework in addition to traditional grants that we've never had before. And we're all very excited because we believe that this helps us to help organizations step up to big ideas, and then we can help them to leverage the funding necessary to put those big ideas in place. So NextCycle is promising, and frankly, we hope it's going to help the entire industry and region. So now I'd like to introduce Susan Mooney. We all know Susan in this region, Chief of RCRA and Solid Construction and Demolition Section for USA EPA Region 5. Susan, welcome.
Thank you so much. And I have to start my closing remarks here with huge thank yous. First to all of our great colleagues and friends in Michigan. Karen at the Michigan Recycling Coalition, Matt with the Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, Alyssa with RRS, and all of the partners in NextCycle. I guess I first thank you for, continually and sort of always leaning towards collaboration in trying to find next steps, particularly when you were presented with such great opportunities to do more in Michigan. And second, for continuing to work with us and organizing and orchestrating this session and recognizing the benefit of more collaboration, of collaborating outside of the boundaries of Michigan. Just really appreciate all you're doing and your willingness to share this great approach and an exciting new program with all of us within Region 5. And I know there's people on here from outside of Region 5. So thank you so much. And then, of course, a thank you to my fellow US CPA presenters. Thank you, Susan, for kicking off that session, and Nina for not only certainly indicating the opportunities for collaboration at the national level, but also reminding us of the tools that EPA has thankfully invested in over the years that I would suspect that every single person on this call has used at least once to quantify both the environmental and economic benefits of the great work we all do. But also reminding us where we are right now and this amazing challenge that was laid before all of us last fall to reach this 50% goal. We have been on a plateau for a long time, and it's hard to get off that plateau. And it really takes everybody working together to figure out new strategies, new approaches, new ways of working together to try to achieve that 50% goal. And then reminding us of newer tools like those SMM tools, which really open the door for thinking differently and thinking of different policy options and approaches that we could take to to manage our materials more sustainably throughout the nation. And of course, I'm always focused on Region 5. So and then to thank our great colleagues in Region 4 before I start talking about Region 5. Dee is a great friend of mine. There's great folks there. I really appreciate her willingness to share how they approached collaboration, and through that collaboration work, how they decided to invest in the great tools she just shared with us. So really appreciate their willingness to share that again beyond the boundaries of Region 4. So in Region 5, we are always looking for the most effective ways to engage with and bolster the great work that's going on across the region. We collaborate, and Matt mentioned this early on, quite a bit with our state environmental agencies. And through that collaboration, we know about all the great work and efforts and approaches and studies and evaluations that are going on across the region. And our hard work is to try to figure out how we can basically add value to that wonderful work. And one of the ways we try to inform our decision-making is by getting feedback. So this session is a fantastic way for us to solicit your feedback and to gain some insight into what others within the stakeholder community in Region 5 are thinking. So there's going to be a poll that follows my closing remarks here. Please participate in that. But if that doesn't, suit your fancy, drop some ideas in the chat or the Q&A, whichever you'd like, so that we get a sense of what you're thinking, what great ideas, what your recommendations might be for how the region can help improve engagement and collaboration across the region. Or if none of those suit your fancy, please feel free to reach out to me, to Susan Viscovi, or if you're already working with some of our other great staff in the region who work on sustainable materials management, please reach out to them, let them know your ideas. I cannot commit to that we could do all of the ideas, but I can absolutely commit that we will consider every single one of them as we try to determine where we should focus our time. And I just want to point out a couple of things that we can or have done. For example, we are pretty experienced at facilitating a network. Matt gave this great example. I'm pretty sure I was in that Lake Michigan room with you, Matt, a long time ago. We have a lot of experience on trying to facilitate networks and collaborations in the region and beyond the region's boundaries. We also very willing and able and do join existing collaborations. So we can grab a seat at your table that you're already engaging with stakeholders and bring to that table some of the resources you heard from Nina, from Dee, and from our other regions across the country and other great state examples. So we're engaged in doing that. We're able to sometimes with a little funding, fund some demonstration projects, kickstart some ideas, test some approaches. And we're always interested in considering that option. And we can support data gathering and evaluation. We're actually working with another great organization in Michigan, Michigan Tech, to look at state procurement policies, which could be another driver for market development. So I think I'm laying out to you that there's a lot of great choices, a lot of good opportunities, and we really would value your feedback, your input about how best to engage, how to drive collaboration and support collaboration across the region. So I really want to thank you all for taking time to participate in this session. I think that demonstrates your interest in evolving recycling in Region 5, and I'm so excited to see so many participants on this session. So with that, I am going to hand it off to our polling. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. This was really great to hear you just reiterate, I think, the sense that I have that we really need to come together to figure out what it is we can do effectively together. There's a lot of resources out there that I think if we intentionally come together on, we can make some big strides. And so Marissa is going to share with us another poll to get some feedback from you about that.
Great, thanks, Karen. So once again, grab that browser, that extra internet browser, and we put it in the chat, pollev.com/recycle123. Now this is a little bit of a different poll. This is a ranking poll. So we've got a couple of ideas on there. What do you see as next steps for collaboration in Region 5? You've already seen some people are thumbs upping, or you have the option of thumbs down option as well. Also, you can add your own ideas and those will come in and be added, and others can thumbs up or thumbs down those ideas as well. Hopefully we have more thumbs up than thumbs down as a supportive, collaborative community. We see that coordinated outreach efforts for decision makers is our top choice. It looks like a lot of people are excited about all these ideas and they're changing order, and this is all happening live. So this is great. Also looking for your ideas. If you want to add some extra ideas in there, that is fantastic. So a lot of interest too in the making the case for recycling. Environmental policy is added to the list. Looks like things are moving along. The new ideas are coming in. We follow-up meetings, you know, this was what we hope was the first of what will be more meetings. So we see integrated waste initiatives also added to the list with food system resilience efforts. Great, fantastic. And getting MDOT to bite. I know a lot of people work their Department of Transportation on new materials for roads projects. So be looking for the NextCycle Michigan when that comes out for roads. Regional goals and shared initiatives got added to the list. Market development for improved infrastructure. A lot of really great ideas are coming from this. Collaborative solutions. So much so we're having to move this. Melissa on the back end is working through so you guys can all see this. Although if you're on the website, you're probably seeing all these live. So great options here. Environmental policy, public-private collaboration, collaborative trainings too. So lots of really great ideas here, Karen, for moving forward as a region. I think people are more than 115, 118 people that are still on the call are really excited about collaboration.
Yeah, that is great to see, and more ideas keep coming, so that's even better to see. What I think we'll do as a result of this is kind of, you know, talk amongst ourselves. Certainly, we want more feedback from you. If you want to reach out to anybody on who's presented today to share your thoughts about us working together into the future, we are all ears for that. Are we talking quarterly meetings, annual meetings? Are we, you know, what kinds of things can we work together on? I really believe that with coordination and intention, we can do something that's much bigger than what we can do in our own communities or our own states. So I look forward to continued communications with my partners here, with EPA Region 5 and headquarters. I look forward to hearing more about what EPA comes out with for their national strategy and how they're going to move forward with that. So I would invite all my presenters to unmic here or to mic up and to share any final words they have about today's session. Lisa.
Yeah, sure. I'll just say end markets don't happen in a vacuum. While my presentation focused on Michigan, it is best looked at collaboratively and regionally. Like I said, commodities cross borders, and I think we can do so much more together. So really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I want to second that. That's the value that I got by talking with our colleagues across the states. And there's so much good work happening in the region. And to know that we've got strong markets, and that first question saying that I think that's the first time I've seen that somebody ever said good when they asked what the markets are. So I think that it shows that we're doing something right. Let's just do more of it.
That's right. That's right. Well, you can see on your screen that there are a lot of things kind of coming your way. We wanted to add other activities that are happening around the region and in other states, but we need your participation to make that, to fill out that list and make that possible. So this is kind of what's happening at the EPA level, what's happening in the Michigan level. We'd like to hear from you. We will follow up with you at some point to see what's next. Stay tuned, and thank you all for joining us today. We hope this was helpful for you too.